was a 5-year-old girl who went on an adventure as queen of the world. First, she decided to take a stroll through the desert. The sun beat down on her forehead, but it wasn't scorching hot. It was almost as if it was an embracing hug, which came from the sun, one that was just the right temperature. Elena liked the fact that the sun was so nice to her as queen, and that it never tried to push its boundaries. As she walked through the sand, she realized just how much she liked how it flowed in and out of her bare toes. The way it tickled her feet made her giggle with joy. First, the grains would rise up above her feet, through her toes, basking her in glory when they hit the ground. And then the grains would fall back down ever so gracefully to the ground as she lifted her feet again, bowing down to her astounding beauty. Before Elena knew it, she had found herself looking into a small pond, which led to a lush forest beyond. When she gazed into the still pond, she found that she could see her reflection. She knew why the pond was showing her it. It was because the pond wanted to showcase her glorious details to more than just the world, but instead to the entire universe. She chuckled and thanked the water as she dipped her toes in. While she walked through the water, she realized just how much she enjoyed the way the water moved out of her way when she came by. Every time she took a step in the shallow water, it would move to the left or right, knowing that it was nowhere near as high in class as she was. It was perfect bliss that the water created for Elena, and it was like music to her ears, the silence it sustained. Suddenly, Elena was at the edge of the lush forest that she had seen earlier, back at the pond. She said her goodbyes to her dear friend and pressed on through the forest. It was quite odd, she thought at first, that there was a trail in between all the plants that created the place, but then it hit her. The forest was leading her to her rightful throne. She was so pleased with the forest that she just had to run up to a large red tree and give it a long, heartfelt kiss before continuing. As she kept going down her path, she realized just how much she enjoyed the company of the wilderness, holding her hand as she went along her merry way. The leaves that flew into the air surrounding her in a gentle breeze guided her down the empty trail so fancifully that she couldn't help but grin. It was truly a sight for royalty only, and of course she was said royalty. Soon enough, Elena had made it to her twisted throne. The limp limbs hung loosely over the empty, blood-covered torsos that held organs no longer. Twisted fingers and broken bones created armrests for the queen's own comfort. Unfortunately, there was no backrest. But what more could the queen expect from such poor, disgusting sort that they were? She crept over to the glorious chair that shimmered in the red liquid and the dim blue light of the gallant stars and moon, those of which adorned the cream. a slow, glorious walk to her throne of madness, Elena was finally ready to take her seat. Her long journey around the globe had ended, but she thought that she enjoyed this sight the most of all the ones she'd seen. Before she took her seat, she gazed into the woman's head that was resting quietly on the place where Elena wanted to sit. She picked up the head covered in frail white skin, which still dripped some of the red fluid that was beginning to bother Elena, and combed back the woman's ginger red hair before turning around and kicking it into the night sky. She watched carefully as it flew into space and landed on the moon, which devoured it with pleasure. With that, she turned back to her throne and finally took a seat. As she sat there, she realized just how much she enjoyed how the chair twisted into knots and showed off broken, brittle bones to her for enjoyment. She liked the way that the body parts below her, slimy with the insides of themselves, would sometimes slip and slide, creating a very appeasing, mushy, gooey sound every time, with the occasional crackling of bones beneath her might and power. She also liked how the cold, lifeless eyes would stare back at her without any intent. She knew she was truly beautiful, unlike any of the people that created her throne, so she didn't mind, and actually quite enjoyed how much they praised her magnificence. She let out an innocent, childlike laugh that echoed through the night sky as her journey came to an end. Elena McGrath was a 5-year-old girl who found no comfort in her family, so she decided to make herself